All right, here's exactly how I'd go from zero to over 100K in sales if I completely had to start all over again in the quickest way possible. Now, this 0 to 100K blueprint that I'm about to show you guys applies for anything e-com, whether that's a drop shipping store, a clothing brand, a supplement brand, whatever it may be. It all follows this exact blueprint in a 6-pillar format: purpose, customer avatar, product, content, website, and traffic. If you dial in these 6 concepts, I promise you'll speed up your trajectory substantially by cutting out all the guesswork. This is the full foundation needed to build a 6-figure brand. So if we jump right into the purpose, this is going to involve your what, why, and how. What's your brand about? Why does it exist? And how are you doing it differently? If you can't answer your what, why, or how, no amount of paid ads or winning products will save you. You can only create so many winning products until your brand starts to die out. And that's because people are coming to you as a store rather than an actual brand, and they view you as just a random store they can get cool products from. This is why we need to dial in the purpose of the brand, because it literally eliminates all the guesswork and it's the foundation for everything. Your designing, your drops, the content, literally everything. And these brands are a perfect execution of purpose, right? So we have these 5 different categories, which would be fear, belonging, envy, sympathy, and empathy, right? And Supreme is a great example of this because they create fear. The fear of missing out on not being able to get their product drops because they always sell out. And if you do want to get it, you're going to have to get it from a reseller, right? Same for this brand, Cortez, however you pronounce it. But they have an extreme cult following. Everyone wants to be a part of their community. Everyone wants to rock whatever they drop. And this is a trait of belonging. They want to feel like they're a part of the brand, they belong to the brand, and they're associated with something by wearing their products. And next, this one's a little challenging, but it's envy, right? So think of all high-end luxury brands, Louis Vuitton. Customer desires the association that they get by being associated with that brand, by wearing the brand. So Louis Vuitton, any high-end is that luxury status feeling that people envy and desire when they wear the brand, and that causes them to buy because it makes them feel like somebody. It makes them feel special. So these are all going to be the main ways you could dial in a foundation and a set purpose for your brand. You can even get complex with it and combine some of these. So for example, Supreme has both fear and belonging, and then vice versa for Cortez. It's super limited. People have the fear of missing out, and they belong to this kind of cult following group that all wears their brand. Once you have a solid foundation set, you need to jump right into creating your customer avatar. And I put this picture here because it's an exact representation of what it looks like to know who you're selling to. You're basically building out your ideal customer so that way you can design your whole entire brand around them. Instead of doing all the guesswork, okay, who's gonna buy this? Will people like this? No, it cuts all of that out because you know it's going to sell, because you know exactly who you're selling to. And the what, why, and how basically goes over everything I just said, right? So for why, you need to understand exactly who you're selling to so you can adjust your messaging and marketing appeal to a specific audience. And how are you able to do that? You need to be able to do market research, look at all your competition and see what they're doing and analyze and dissect their brand so you can implement that into your own brand. So a great example, and I promise you, you can throw any brand in front of my face and I can break down their exact ideal customer at least in 3 different pillars, right? So we have this brand here. They're pretty big, 1.1 million followers, Civil Regime. I'm sure a lot of you guys seen them. They're part of like the streetwear industry, but their main target audience is grunge, edgy, and gothic young people from the age of 18 to 25 who like casual streetwear, and they recently started implementing some gym wear, right? And you can see that by the feed and aesthetic of their Instagram page. They have memes right here appealing to a younger target audience, and then they have this grunge type effect graphic for all their shirts, and there's like this dark kind of edgy filter on every single one of their posts, and it just goes back to these 3 pillars right here, which is their target audience. And every brand has this. Every good brand that is profitable and that has been alive for over 2 to 3 years plus 10 years, whatever it may be, they have a specific audience and they know exactly who they're selling to. And this is perfect because when it comes to designing products, you know exactly what's going to sell. You know exactly who you're going to sell to. And when you're designing products, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You want to completely eliminate all guesswork and do something that's been done before, but change it and implement it in your own way that represents your brand, right? So for example, this brand has been taking off recently, Plus One. It's an Atlanta streetwear brand. They went crazy with these jorts with this monogram plus logo, but it's nothing new. There's literally nothing new under the sun. Like, these are LV Carpenter shorts. They do the same logo monogram, the same denim wash, but what he did, he put his own logo, he put a little distressing, and it's slightly like a different washed color effect with more distressing on the pockets, right? He also put the custom button with his own plus logo. Like, if you zoom out and look at this from the bigger picture, from a business perspective, It's not necessarily copying, right? You're innovating. There's literally nothing new under the sun, right? And if you take Virgil's 3% rule, it's absolutely flawless because you're taking something that's already proven to work, make it original in your own way, and then you can start making sales as soon as possible. So that's why stuff like this is acceptable in the brand space, whether it's clothing, whether it's supplements. That's why you have 30 different creatine supplement companies, 30 different protein companies. Like, you can go down in every niche, every sector of whatever brand it may be, and there's going to be repeat after repeat after repeat, but each brand does it differently. So either bring back a trend or create something that's already trending and do it in your own way. Now, boom, content is a huge factor in making sales, right? Because if you don't have high quality content, no one's going to trust and want to buy your brand. Having good content allows your customer to have a good first impression of your product before they actually receive it. And you want that nice, clean aesthetic for your Instagram feed because essentially it's a second landing page, right? Sometimes maybe it might be a first landing page, because if you're running paid traffic, 9 times out of 10, a lot of people are going to want to check out your Instagram page before they check out your website, right? So that's why it's so important you have a lot of high quality content on your page. I'm telling you guys, the first impression is everything. Now, when it comes to the website, this can be make or break if you're profitable or not when you're running paid traffic. Large product photos, clear pricing, reviews, just like this example down here, it shows credibility. And you also want to have size guides if you're doing like shirts, whatever it may be. Nutrition facts if you're doing a supplement company. I'm telling you guys, this applies for any brand that you're running an online store for. And then obviously you want to have your add to cart button, or if it's a pre-order, to say pre-order, so the intentions are very clear and it's a direct call to action. And with that, you're going to want to have a seamless checkout page, right? So here's an example of my brand that I'm running right now with my personal checkout page. And as you guys can see, I have this upsell tab on the right here. And this is an example for desktop, but it's very similar on mobile. And I also have a free shipping progress bar. All right, so this allows you to upsell your products, especially if you have multiple SKUs, like 20 to 30 different SKUs on your website, and allows you to increase your order value, which is going to be a huge factor into getting to that 100K in sales mark. So now that we have these 5 things in place, we know our brand's purpose, we have a solid customer avatar, we designed a bunch of products around this customer avatar, and we also have good content and a nice high converting website. The big question is, how are we going to get traffic to said website? And there's 2 different ways to do this. Obviously there's paid traffic, obviously there's organic traffic, but if we're going to be doing this as quick as possible, we have to run paid traffic. Guys, I'm telling you, like, the possibilities with running ads is literally, it's endless. Running ads, it's costly, it's competitive, right? But there's a way to do it effectively where you're able to be profitable. And that's why it's so important we have this framework set up before we even think about running ads. Now, the pros of organic marketing is the fact that it builds real community. Our paid ads are going to get us eyes on our brand, and we're going to keep those eyes on our brand by nurturing them through organic content, right? So that's why it's a constant cycle of getting new eyes on your brand, and you're constantly posting new organic content to keep those eyes on your brand, to keep those customers engaged and active. This is the exact framework and strategy that I've used to grow my personal brand to over $850,000 in sales in less than 2 years. And it's also the same format that I teach all of my students. If you found any of this information helpful and you want to scale your brand to its first 100K or even high 6 figures, click the link below in the description to be able to apply to work with me directly one-on-one so we can scale your brand. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.